thing as slow as my freaking pet turtle. If I had one.
All right, now you can be heard.
All right, hello. Assuming audio is working now, hi. I am Nambo, and I will be commentating for this little 2-hour-long Launch IL showcase. Launch is a pack, a Super Monkey Ball full story mode pack that released in February, made by Dyrude, who we actually have here playing with us. Originally, schedule might have said Zona in that place, but Zona unfortunately was not able to make it, so instead we have the person who made the pack here with us to IL as well. This is going to be a short tournament including 4 players. First, Beard is going to play Dyrude, then Kpenpen is going to play Goobz, and then the winners will play each other. So we have Dyrude and Beard's stream up here right now, and I'm going to roll a list and get it posted in chat as soon as I can. So I'll explain kind of what's going on with how like stage stuff works once we actually get a list going. But basically, let me get this in here. One moment. Okay, so, sorry if it's taking a moment because I did not have the list making prepared, which I forgot to do, I'm so sorry. Okay, so these stages, basically we're going to be rolling random stages from the pack, and the competitors are going to be trying for 5 minutes straight to get the best time possible on that stage. That they can muster, and whoever winds up with the best time after those 5 minutes will win a round, and it will be a best of 5 format as shown by the little things on screen. And the list here of stages is in chat. You don't need to worry too much about knowing which stage is which until they actually get into one, but we're going to start out by having Beard ban one stage. So Beard is going to type into the Monkey Ball tourney chat here which of the 5 stages he'd like to ban. We have a little kind of back and forth banning system to make it so that it's not rolling pure random stages, but it's kind of swayed by the contestants' picks. So Beard is going to ban 2-10 POW, leaving us with 4 more stages. Now it's up to Dyrude to ban 2. Still waiting on the second of the 2 bans. He bans 3-5 Real and 8-2 Altitude. And that leaves us with 7-1 Propulsion and 6-1 Trailblazing, so now it's Beard's pick between those 2 stages. And whichever one Beard picks, they will be going to for round 1. And that's the stage they'll be playing for 5 minutes. So Beard is now picking Trailblazing. So Trailblazing is in World 6, so we'll be seeing our competitors head there. And yeah, so once I count them off, I'll kind of explain what's going on in front of you once I get the ready up from both players. But yeah, so Monkey Ball has an in-game timer, and there's a lot of competition for individual level speed runs, and there's entire like spreadsheet leaderboards that exist for each of these. Both players are ready, so I'm going to cut them off here. All right, and they are good to go. So you're going to see them both throwing themselves at the stage at super high speeds repeatedly. This is just a kind of random stage from the middle of the pack because that's kind of how the stage picking system works, is the stages could pop up anywhere from Worlds 1 to 9. We decided not to have Worlds 10 and the Master Worlds, which are also part of this pack, but we decided not to have those in the showcase just because a lot of those stages are very long and make for a very difficult 5-minute format. So we are going to be using Beard's timer on the side here. You can see there's the little number in the corner that says elapsed, best time, and best score. That'll tell us what time, like how long into the match we are in terms of minutes, and we'll be able to see Beard's best time. Dyrude doesn't currently have the thing set up because of how last minute asking him to join was, but we'll be able to see what times he gets on the timer here whenever he goes through the goal. And first, person who gets the best time in 5 minutes will win, and there is a special thing in place for ties, but we'll cross that bridge if we come to it. But for now, we're just seeing both players kind of throw themselves at these slopes, and this kind of brings us to the general physics of monkey ball ILing, which in general, you actually are going to see a little bit different flavor from what you'd normally see in an RTA. You're going to be seeing people throw themselves at much less consistent strategies in order to beat the levels way faster than their opponent that you couldn't normally do in a run, but because you have 5 whole minutes just to get one finish, you could land a super unlikely fast finish in 5. And so the players are going to be going for the highest speed they possibly can get. You can kind of see that they're going for these hits off the front of these objects. So these little log swings here on this stage, they have these slants going up and then kind of more tilted forward. And the more forward slanted slants you hit, the kind of more direct line you're able to take towards the goal. You saw Beard just pass by it right there on the side. Holy. And if you finish off an attempt like that with all the low hits, then your time's going to be in general faster because you're taking a more straight line to the goal. And this is kind of a pretty straightforward first stage in terms of just the quote-unquote tech being used. You know, there's not that much actual tech in Monkey Ball outside of pausing, which is actually not allowed in these IL competitions. We're going to see Dyrude here get a first finish. It was a 51.5, I think. He can update us in chat afterwards with what exact time that was, because I didn't quite catch it because he retried so quickly, but yeah, if Beard isn't able to get a time faster than that, then Dyrude will take the round with that time, but Beard has been getting a lot of close attempts, and there we go, 53.65 from Beard. That is a much faster finish. That is going to be hard to beat. The interesting thing about this kind of more new format, there hasn't actually been a launch IL tournament ever, because this pack only released a few months ago. And so all the strategies that the players have to use in 5 minutes on this are going to be basically a lot of spur of the moment, because so many of these stages are so hard to go fast on that you can't just replicate what the IL record does in 5 minutes. So there's going to be a lot of intermediate strat play that I think is going to be interesting to see the differences between what the two players are doing. I feel like this is why this is a good, this is probably a good intro stage here, because of the fact that they're kind of just going for the same hit the front of the logs as many times as possible in order to get boosted forward. But we can see from Beard's timer, the lapse thing on the side there, there's about a minute left. At the quote-unquote buzzer at the end of the round, right when the timer hits 5 minutes, both players will be allowed to finish out their final attempt, but after that it is the end of the round, and whoever has the best finish will take that stage and be one ahead for the next battle. Seeing Dyrude almost get a finish there, wasn't going to be faster, but would have been a nice little confidence boost to actually get through with all the lower hits there. Beard getting another good attempt at the goal. Looked like he bonked at like a 53.7, but he didn't quite get through. So it's really, really hard to get these forward end hits on these objects, because all you can do is kind of control the direction of gravity in midair. You can't directly move the monkey, if that makes sense. So you're more so controlling the influence on the ball rather than the ball itself, which makes it really hard to perform stuff like this, because you're kind of just relying on what directions are things hitting me. Oh my god, barely straight by the side of the thing there, and another finish. Dyrude almost gets a 53 of his own. That is just about at the buzzer, so he's going to be able to finish out this one attempt. But if it doesn't get faster than 53, and it doesn't look like it's going to, that is good round for the first match, and Beard takes 1 point. So I'm going to be rolling our second list here, and now that we've gone through one match, we're going to get into the one other kind of rules end thing that we have going on with IL tournaments here, and that is counterpicking. So once you win one stage, your opponent gets a lot more influence over the next stage that gets selected. They get what's called a counterpick. And so, where last time it was kind of a back and forth, you know, beard bans, Dyrude bans, beard bans. Now, instead, beard is going to ban one. So I'm going to post a list here in both chat and the tourney channel that we're kind of playing in. So we have our second list here. Beard gets to ban one stage, and Dyrude gets to pick from the remaining 4. So that means that Dyrude gets a lot more influence over the second round in order to kind of make more of a comeback, potentially. If he's able to pick a stage that he's a lot more comfortable on. But first we wait on the ban from Beard. Beard is banning cartons. So that's 2-8. Dyrude will get to pick from the remaining. And Dyrude picks Influx. So this is a World 5 stage. We're going to be showing off a bunch of different backgrounds here. I guess slight spoilers for the backgrounds of the pack, but the real big hitter end game ones aren't being shown here at this showcase, so. This stage is a bunch of these, like, the whole thing kind of slants left and right at this very heavy jolt. And what I'm assuming you're going to be able to see from what they're going to be going for is they're going to be trying to get flicked up by the jolt. So both players are ready. So once that updates, they're going to be off. Oh! Dyrude accidentally stage selecting real quickly there. That's okay, though. Still going to be able to run on the timer. So both players are going to be moving backwards a little bit at the start in order to get a little bit of extra speed, because the launch itself, with the rotation of the stage here, is timed. It's not based on any movement of the monkey. And because it's good to have the launch happen as strong as possible in order to kind of get as much time in the air as possible, they're purposely wasting a little bit of time at the start while also getting a little bit more speed by going backwards right at the beginning. And then they're going to get flicked up by this right side here. Dyrude almost got an attempt there that got the upwards flick. Interesting to see them going for the same strats, considering that I know Beard is much more familiar with the actual record strat, which is not always pull-offable in 5 minutes, whereas Dyrude's a lot more familiar with just like a kind of mixture of stuff that he tested out while making the stages, because, as mentioned, he was the person who made this pack. So that's an interesting little dynamic that we have going on here. We're a minute in, though, and still not one, like, really solid upwards flick from the looks of it. This flick is really, really hard to time. There's a good-looking one from Dyrude, and a good-looking one from Beard. Almost gets in. And Beard almost gets in as well. Both missing the goal right at the end. This game has a notoriously troll party ball. A little, like, disco ball that you see floating around the goal. It is very well known for being incredibly mischievous and knocking you off the stage. And this definitely feels like the type of stage where we could end up seeing it knock out a few runs because of how fast the goal entry is. That's the case on a lot of Monkey Ball speedrun and IL related stuff. A little bit more about the pack, though, while we're kind of waiting for our first finish here from both players. This pack just released like a little bit ago, and it is commonly regarded as, I'd say, the hardest full story mode Monkey Ball pack currently available. It's not like the hardest stages in the world, but it is definitely the hardest like full 100 stage experience that we currently have. A lot of the stages are really long. Also, nice 48.91 there from Dyrude. Gonna get our first finish on the boards, and if Beard isn't able to get a finish, then that could take it home. But I did see some slowdown there, so if Beard gets his kind of full speed thing that he's been going for, there's a good chance that he ends up beating that time. 48.9. Oh, I might have missed that. Yeah, a lot of these stages, especially in the late game when you see stuff from World like 7, 8, 9, are a lot of these longer obstacle course gauntlets of animations of like really weirdly moving platforms. And a lot of the difficulty is just trying to figure out how to move the monkey while getting influenced by these rotations and movements and all this other stuff. This is actually what, like, I'd say this is a perfect example of one of those weird animation types of stages. This is just like a very awkward animation to deal with. You know, you have your swing bar from the original game where it's kind of slightly swaying back and forth, but this is a much more like abrupt jolt that the stage gives you that you kind of have to work around. And the stage is too steep to actually climb up, even with the stronger diagonals that this game's input system has. So you literally have to be moving against the flip in order to get the upwards hit that you want here. Beard getting another close-looking attempt, but that's not going to do it. Dyrude's 48-9 still standing. Seems like a lot of the time they're getting this like little edge clip from the corner there because of how the geometry is shaped, because they're trying to take the corner as tight as possible. You'll see a lot of the attempts from Dyrude there. If he goes a little too early, then you end up leaving the ramp before the flick is done happening, and so you don't get the leftwards momentum that you need in order to like land somewhere safe. That's going to be another good-looking attempt from Dyrude. Had to slow down at the end there and hit the party ball, just like I mentioned earlier. Notoriously troll. You have about 30 seconds left, though, between Dyrude and taking this round. That clip was really fast from Beard, but it's going to make him arrive early to the cycle, which is not good. Means that you're not going to be able to finish that out. Another clip. Is he going for that clip? Oh my goodness. Oh, that was so close. That was scary. He might be going for this clip. I can't actually tell. I think he is. This is an interesting, like, very high-speed tactic. Maybe he was going for some kind of intermediate strat and just decided, you know, I'm more used to going for the record strat, so I'm just going to go for the crazy record strat in the last second here. He has his final attempt, though. Buzzer is off, so that means that no more attempts from either player. This won't count from Dyrude, and Beard had to retry, so that's going to give another round to Beard. And so now the counter pick advantage is going to flip, or the counter pick itself is going to flip to Beard. Beard's going to have a lot more sway over which stage gets picked in this next list. So I'm going to get our next list here. Once I type it in here, sorry this takes a moment just to get entered into a chat format. We have a little Discord bot made by Retrop, shoutouts to Retrop. Made this very awesome bot for rolling stuff that has this very awesome like format in Discord message. And I just have to very lightly reformat in order to send in chats and stuff, but the stage picker is very awesome. So we have our second list here, or our third list, sorry, third list. And we're going to have Dyrude ban 1 from this list, so we have 1-1 Banana Savannah, 3-2 Delivery, 7-7 Sustain, 6-5 Sanguine, and 3-1 Quadrangle. Dyrude is going to ban Quadrangle. Beard says excellent ban. I'm assuming that means he was going to pick that stage. And we'll see what we're left with here. A lot of interesting later game stages here. I know Sustain has a very difficult full skip. I wouldn't be surprised to see Beard go there. But also, if there is a really difficult full skip, there's a good chance that Dyrude knew about it when he made the stage. We don't actually know. So we'll see where Beard decides to go here. And Beard plays Sustain. That's the level I just mentioned. It's in the ice world and has a pretty darn difficult full skip on it. So, be interesting to see if they're able to pull that off in 5 minutes. Dyrude's in a little bit of distress. It's like, shoot, do I know how to do this full skip? Maybe I need a screen peek. And that actually brings up another thing worth noting about these IL competitions, is that screen peeking is not only allowed, but also encouraged. So you're allowed to use whatever means you have at your disposal to get the kind of upper hand in your opponent. which means that you are allowed to look at their attempts and copy their strategies. You're allowed to look at the record sheet and copy the record sheet strategy. Allowed to do whatever. Oh, Sustained is actually not the stage I thought it was. Hold on. It's not in the Ice World. My bad. We'll see if both players are ready. For some reason I mixed it up with a different stage. Influence, that was the one I was thinking of. Both players are ready though, so we'll be counting them down. And they will be off. So this stage is also another weird animation stage. That's kind of a trend with a lot of the stages in this pack, is that they utilize these very unconventional animation patterns that you kind of have to be able to like balance and wobble around on in order to get to the end. But here the stage is basically a straight shot to the goal, and because you don't have to have the consistency of like worrying about clips and stuff for an RTA, both players are just going to be full throwing themselves straight at the stage, which, you know, someone doing RTAs might actually take a more slow approach and get more expected hits, but because they're going for IL strats here that you can pull off in 5 minutes, we're going to be seeing them go for a lot more risky, just kind of clip whatever edges they can and make it to whatever spots that they can in order to jump across the whole middle of the stage. Beard getting a good looking attempt here to start out. Gonna be hard to finish that out though. He does have 3 different options. IL battles, at least in this format, are done in any goal. So it doesn't matter which goal you end up in, it's just whichever finish ends up being the fastest. But both players are a minute in, and still no finishes. Only 1 finish last time on Influx from Dyrude, so there is some chance that we end up seeing a no fast finish if the kind of fast collision ends up being this uncooperative with the two of them, and that they just have to last second switch strategies in order to go for the best slower finish. And that has happened before several times in these little IL competitions, of them swapping to a different strat in the very last second, and then whoever just happens to get a faster finish, or even a finish at all, because these stages are hard to finish. Whoever gets that in the last few seconds could end up winning. But we'll see if either of them is able to put up a full speed finish here in either of the goals. It looks like they're going for the same set of beginning hits. Beard seems like he's going a little bit more to the right to go on this banana platform. I don't know if that's setting him up much differently. It seems like it's just about the same. What seems to matter the most here is how that little edge clip sends them. And that now might be a good time to kind of bring up the wonky edge collision that this game has. If you're familiar at all with monkey ball runs, you probably heard it mentioned that collision in this game, while it is deterministic, is not necessarily consistent, specifically because it's impossible to replicate the exact same stick inputs on every frame, especially if you're playing on controller, which both of these players are. So there is just absolutely no chance that you're getting the exact same deterministic outcome twice, which means that the clips can be very unpredictable feeling. You can feel like you go into a clip and then you just get no height from it, or you just randomly get sent to the side every once in a while, because this game is cool. It is a very good collision system. It just gets a little bit confused at edges sometimes, which is kind of an interesting reaction thing that both players have to work with here. Beard almost getting an attempt at the end. He almost stabilized in that final platform. Would have just been a straight shot to the blue goal there. A little interesting thing about the 3 goal colors here. The blue goal is actually green, and then the green goal is yellow, and then the red goal is purple for this particular world theme, because fun color scheme. But we are 3.5 minutes in, 1.5 minutes left to play, and still no finishes from either side. There is honestly some strat play here with when you decide to switch strats as well, because it's not always the best idea to switch at the very last second. We can actually see Dyrude here switching strats to go for a more casual finish, basically saying, like, if Beard doesn't finish his thing in 5 minutes, then, you know, fastest casual finish wins, and there's his casual finish, 43.71. If Beard can't get his full send finish in the last minute or so here, then that's gonna be the round, and Dyrude's gonna take that. You know, that's the big strength of coming in with a lot more kind of just casual experience playing the pack, is if you're put under pressure in a situation like this where you know, no player has gotten this fast finish in the 4-minute 30 mark, then you're able to actually pull out the casual thing and be confident that you're going to get a finish in a quick amount of time. Because these stages are hard. This is the hardest full story mode pack that we have right now. These stages are weird. They're difficult. And see, Dyrude now that he's gotten that casual finish, he now can just keep going for the fast thing for the last few seconds. Did waste a little bit of his own time doing that slower finish, which is kind of an advantage that Beard has. He has more time going for the faster thing, but it's looking like he's in hot water right now because he has 3 seconds left. If he resets that, gets that off in time, so he has just this last attempt left. If he doesn't get it, then the point goes to Dyrude. Slow clip, that's not going to do it. Dyrude takes game 2. And now Dyrude has what we generally refer to as counterpick advantage. So there's whoever has the counterpick, and then generally, because of the way that the counterpick works, it ends up flip-flopping between like person A wins, person B wins, because usually you end up on a stage you're more comfortable with when you have the counterpick. So whenever you kind of get ahead by 1 on your opponent, then that's considered counterpick advantage, where your opponent has to win on one of your counterpicks in order to take back the game. So that's like an interesting little thing that we have here. I'm going to be rolling our next list. Oh, I just reposted the same list here. So I need to re-roll. All right, so we have our next list here. It is 710 Nuclear, which is from the same world as that last stage, 410 High Striker, 84 Toblerone, 56 Drop Cycle, and 92 Interchange. And so we will have Dyrude ban 1. And then Beard will get a counter pick, so we'll have much more influence. Dyrude is currently thinking about his pick, or his ban. Nuclear is the ban. So Beard gets to pick from the remaining 4. Probably thinking about his choices right now. Kind of starting to realize that a lot of the really hard IL skips that he has record on are like really hard to get in 5 minutes. And he's going to play Drop Cycle. So we're going to be going back to World 5, back to the Disco World. This stage involves a vertical wormhole here. You have a wormhole that's lower down and a wormhole that's higher up, and going into the lower one will bring you back up at the same speed, but at a higher height than the lower one. And so you can kind of keep looping this wormhole to keep gaining height. But the IL strategy is going to be probably taking a little bit advantage of that and trying to go in at a much more high-octane speed. So once both players are ready, I'm going to be counting them off in the chat here. And they will be off momentarily. So you can see the little downwards arrow in front of them points into the entry wormhole. And I'm pretty sure the IL strat here involves hitting off the bottom of the stage. You can see Beard is actually going for it right now. So he ends up on the wormhole that's level with the ground that he's currently standing on. You can see it in frame there on Beard's side. And the full IL involves hitting off of that in order to kill some time in the air, and then instantly going up and then landing in the goal. And Dyrude is going to be going for a completely different strat. I think he's going for the red goal. At least I saw him go by it a moment ago. I don't actually know anymore. Haven't quite seen his side as much. He's going to be going up into the air there. Oh. The goal angle is very blind on this stage, from what I can tell. You know, your camera's kind of facing upwards, and you're kind of coming up at the goal from below like this. So it's one of those things that's very hard to get used to in 5 minutes. That's a kind of a theme with a lot of these IL strats on these more complex custom stages that you end up seeing is that the IL ends up being something super difficult. Dyrude, again, looks like he's going for the red goal. So this actually involves a little context here. This stage has 3 goals. There's a green goal, which is way above the blue goal, which is not worth getting in 5 minutes. And then there's a blue goal, which is on the platform above you when you start out. It's like 2 platforms above. And then there's a red goal, which is on the little arrow that's pointing downwards. It's kind of like an Easter egg goal, as like a little kind of fun bonus. But because it is a goal that finishes the level, the players can use that goal to finish the IL faster. Dyrude actually going into view stage to assist us here with seeing where it is. Thank you for that. Showing off exactly what the goal they're aiming for is. It's on the back of that arrow facing upwards. And so I think there's a chance that Beard might be going for it as well. I just haven't seen him kind of sail towards it because maybe he just hasn't gotten a beginning he's happy with. Seems like both players are going to be going for that 4 to 5 minutes here. Be interested to see if there's any last second strat switches yet again, because we're 2 minutes in and it doesn't seem like we've had any super close attempts. And I know for a fact that this goal entrance is pretty difficult. It's really easy to hit the goalpost, fall off, hit the party ball, fall off, because of how awkward you're entering in at this like side angle curling around the arrow. It's really difficult to control the ball in the air in this game. But when pulled off successfully, it is very satisfying. And Dyrude's going to take a safety finish of a 51-60. Probably a smart idea, taking that safety finish. Again, the safety finish has won him the last 2 rounds. So we'll be seeing if Beard's able to clutch up with the strat that he's been going for this whole time. Or if Dyrude's safety finish is going to win him the round again. Got that interesting dynamic of safety finish confidence versus I've played the record strat a lot, and if I get it in 5 minutes, you're done for. Yeah, it seems like both players are getting the hang of this wormhole turnaround of like kind of turning around into the portal. That's a lot of what these 5-minute battles also come down to, is how fast can you re-familiarize yourself with the strategy. Because, you know, when you're just IL attempting the stages for the fastest time, 5 minutes, 52.71, that's solid from Dyrude. Good blue goal finish. Beard is not going to be able to beat that by just kind of randomly taking an attempt to the blue goal on a last-second, last-ditch effort. But as I was saying, I just forgot what I was just saying. That is okay, though. We still have epic gameplay. Got distracted by the epic finish. That was a very clean straight in. Yeah, still no finishes, and we're 4 minutes in, 1 minute remaining. Gonna be seeing if this blue goal finish holds, or if either player gets a good shot at the red goal. I'm hoping that at least one of them will get a good shot at it. Oh, Dyrude, you can kind of see it come into view there on the side. I'm really hoping we could see at least one attempt, like, touch the goal, you know? That'd be hype. And we'll see if Beard decides to go for any strat switching here. He's been pretty stuck to the strats that he goes for this whole time. And on one hand, that can be really awesome because you can get the clutch final second buzzer beater finish, as they call it, when you beat your best time in the last post 5-minute attempt. But you know, that's the advantage and disadvantage of sticking to the same strat for 5 minutes, is that you end up getting more attempts at the fast thing that'll beat your opponent if you get it. But again, if this doesn't finish, and he retries it, that's not going to finish. Dyrude takes game 3, and that is going to be the point. That's the match point. I think that is 3. Make sure I am looking at this right. Yep. So Dyrude has taken 3 rounds. And we'll be moving on in our little mini bracket here to face the winner of our next match, which is going to be Goobz versus Kpenpen. I'm going to invite both Dyrude and Beard to unmute here while have people set up the next match here with Kpen and Goobz' cameras. But if Beard and Dyrude want to unmute for like a short in-between interview, be happy to speak with both. Hello, Dyrude.
It's been a lot of fun trying to figure this out on the fly.
Yeah, GG's, man. Nothing worked out.
GG.
Absolutely nothing.
I knew I was happy that you picked this stage unit, so I was like, okay, I saw your videos, so I knew what the strats were for those. So I knew the blue and the red. But hard stages, yeah. Hard stages.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
like
I thought I was. But
it's really, really hard to get a super cracked finish like that in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Those
And
are-
honestly, I honor the dedication of sticking to the faster thing each time and hoping for the clutch up at the very last second. But if anything, that's just a testament to how hard these strats are to finish and how cool it is that, you know, Beard, you've gotten so many of the records on a lot of these stages since the pack came out.
yeah, I probably should have practiced a little bit more.
Mhm.
I have not played these stages in months, so that's on me. That's on me.
I will say I was a little sad there because at the end there I was going for the blue goal like the last minute on drop cycle, and I actually had a couple really crazy angles that would have worked for the wormhole slapping off the bottom of the platform, but I just was like still trying to figure out the right inputs because, like, you know, I haven't like seriously tried to IL my own stages. I kind of like just made sure there were strats or whatever when I was making the game, but like I know what's there, but like knowing that it's there and knowing like the right inputs is like the hardest thing to figure out. And I was starting to get it there, but I wish I got one through the wormhole.
So you weren't even slapping off the top.
So I was going for red for like the first two minutes, and then I got the slap. I figured that part out, and then it took me a little bit to figure out how to control it into the wormhole. And I got two that were like the right angle, but I just wasn't controlling it right. Yeah, it was hard.
True.
Yeah, I did get a good blue goal though, a fast casual blue.
That strat looks so difficult to get used to in 5 minutes. Like, under the pressure of
Yeah, I
like
don't-
needing to basically
Yeah.
relearn the entire thing in 5 minutes, just like, it's hard.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't know any casual strats. I just kind of only know the fast strat. I didn't know.
It makes
any
you a
casual.
really scary opponent with how many records you have, like, on the IL sheet on all these stages. Like, your dedication to this is very insane. It makes you a very scary opponent. You know, you have to ban very smartly, because otherwise you're just going to get completely destroyed by a time that you can't match.
I will say that, like, I think that, like, the stages though were good, like, in terms of like being you knowing record strats, and then me again, like, just kind of I know the stages very well, but having to figure a lot of it out. Like Trailblazing, I thought was like a really good one because, as Nemo was saying, like, you have to get all the series of low hits, but like that's something that like you can legitimately figure out, as you know, if you play the game a lot, you understand the physics engine. So like that's one that's crazy fun to figure out. But then when you have somebody that like really knows a stage and like really knows where they need to go and the exact input timers, it can like, it's crazy to see like the amount of like close finishes Beard was getting on Trailblazing, for example. But like,
Yeah, Trailblazing was fun because it's like it's a simple with a basic one, and
Yeah.
you have to start off well, and if you start off right, you can get 53 sixes, 53 sevens.
Mm-hmm. Getting the low hits consistently there looks like very learny.
I was
Looks
figuring it
very-
out there.
Yeah.
Again, in the last like 30 seconds, I was figuring out the right approach to it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Beard
So-
just had it for the whole 5 minutes, and so he
Yeah.
got a bunch of good shots at the goal.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna hope that one comes up in the finals. Then I would like my
Yes.
chances.
Good luck in the finals, man.
Thank you.
Heck yeah.
I never get to play against Beard, so that was super fun experience. I like doing that.
Well, we should do it again.
For real, if you
I wa-
look at Beard's YouTube channel, if you know it, he's got crazy comps. Dude is an insane player. Like,
Yeah, no,
actually stupidly insane player.
he's played through the entire pack and basically gone for the IL on pretty much every stage, and you could tell by just looking at the IL sheet of just like how much he shows up on it. Just like incredible dedication. But we are set up for the
Wow.
next match, so I'm going to call wraps on this interview, and we're going to get into our next round of Kpenpen versus Goobz. So I have our first list generated here, and I'm going to paste it into chat. Should have them faster this time. Sorry about the lack of prep on my part. So this is a new match, and so stages are now able to be repeated from last match. The way that the stage picker works is that it won't repeat stages in the same one match, but once we start a new match, stages can be repeated from last match. So you might see things pop up again, but that'll be in a new setting against new players. So we have our first list in chat here. I'm going to post this here. IL, by the way, stands for individual level. It means that they're going to be playing that, like the same one level over and over and over again until they get the fastest time possible in 5 minutes. So we have our first list. I'm going to say Kpen is going to ban 1. So again, we're going to be starting off with the same banning system that we had at the beginning of last match, where the ban kind of swaps back and forth. So Kpen is going to ban 9-3 Accelerator. Now Goobz gets to ban 2 stages. We'll see what he decides to ban here. He has a little bit of time to think it over. Lots of stages that see very little play in this. But one thing that's fun to bring up about these two players is the difference in experience we had last time between Dyrude and Beard. We kind of have a similar dynamic here of Kpen versus Goobz. Kpen is a more experienced ILer with this game, whereas Goobz hasn't done as many ILs, but has done RTA runs of this category. So he's going to have interesting strat play to bring to the table with knowing the kind of fast-ish strat on every single stage, but maybe not the full send, inconsistent fast-ish strat. So it'll be interesting to see what each of them opt to go for on each of these stages. We saw the more casual high-speed finishes paid off for Dyrude during his match, so maybe we'll see something similar here, or maybe we'll see the ILs win. And we have our bans from Goobz. We have banned Solar Flare and Crusher, and then Kpen picks into 2-3 Death Blocks. So this is actually going to be showing a unique mechanic that this pack basically brought to the table. It's been used a couple times before, but never quite to this extent, and that is fallout volumes. So, I'm going to... I just realized I need to change some network stream options here. 1 second. Just so I can see their views. Forgot to do that between matches. Yep, and they are both hovering over the stage, so, Alright, there we go. I have things set up. Sorry. Sorry for that short delay. Both players are now ready, though, so I'm gonna count them off. So, this stage uses these thingies that are aptly named death blocks, and when you go into them, they cause the ball to instantly fall out. This is a feature that is only used in the base game to kind of safeguard the sides of the original levels. So, if you get whacked off the side of a stage while in challenge mode where you can't retry, they don't want you sitting there for 10 minutes waiting for the ball to fall out. And so, in general, they'll have these fallout volumes that stop you from falling off the stage. And they're always invisible in the base game. They're never actually a thing that are supposed to be on the stage and killing you while you're on the stage. But one thing that this pack uses that hasn't really been explored that much in other packs before it is fallout volumes that are visually indicated on the stage. So there's intangible objects that are kind of marking where the fallout volumes are here. And they basically act as on-screen death blocks, or like little lava tiles. So all of the blocks that have little skulls on them and all of the red lava is going to instantly fall them out if they even so much as graze the corner of it with the ball, which actually makes the stage much more difficult to navigate than it may look. It may look like there's quite a bit of space between these blocks, but remember the ball is like an entire 2 checkers wide. And so squeezing between these death blocks with speed is really difficult, and they can't just hit a wall and keep going. It's like if a bonk instantly killed you in a Mario game. The moment you accidentally graze the side of a wall, it's over. You have to restart the attempt. But we already have a 53 finish from both players here. I kind of was explaining the gimmick so much that didn't really catch their first finishes. We have both players with the practice ROM showing this time, so you can see their best times up in the corner where it says best time, if the bitrate is high enough to be able to actually make it out, but just in case it isn't, we have, I think, Kpen with a 53.08 and Goobz with a 53.51. And it seems like, I don't know if these fall-offs through the middle are intentional. Goobz might be going for a full skip where he's going through the back of the goal, or he might just be falling off the edge of the platform while trying to like clip onto it. I can't quite tell. I don't actually know if the full skip is a thing that people can do here. So far, though, we've only seen the casual finishes that go around the whole stage and then kind of drop off that back-end slope in order to drive into the goal. So far, that's all we've seen. But navigating around these death blocks at the beginning is very tight. You definitely would not be playing this risky in a full RTA run, which is part of the kind of advantage that comes with being a more IL-oriented player, is that you're kind of more used to the mindset of, let me just chuck myself at this level until it works. Versus, you know, the more RTA mindset of, let me make sure I can live every single attempt. So there's a chance that if Kpen does get one more finish here, that it could just end up winning out against Goobz' current standing 53-51. We have about 2 minutes left to play. So we'll see if that happens. One thing that's also a little bit worth noting here is that they're going for these clips off of the platform. In general, if you're going for an edge clip, in an IL setting, you want it to be as low as possible. Because what the clip is actually doing is it's just converting some of your speed into height. But the reason that's good is because you're getting off the ground. Getting off the ground means you get less friction. That's good. But the issue with that is that the more speed you convert to height, the more speed you're losing. So what you want is you want a clip that's low enough to, or high enough to send you into the air, but low enough to make it so that you can travel and coast over as much of the stage as possible without having to like get your speed stopped by the fact that it got converted all to height. So you kind of want to go lightly into these clips, and going lighter into the clips is when they're more likely to just kind of not work, which is a thing that this game does sometimes. We generally refer to it as a Zorp, so if you ever hear me say that funny word, it's kind of an onomatopoeia for what sound it would make if it were a real thing. You know, you just Zorp right over the platform. Kind of saw one from Goobz there, just kind of gliding over the platform when it looked like he maybe should have gotten a clip. But also maybe that was just him not going far enough over the edge to have the edge collision happen, so who knows. It's a very low finish count stage though, especially when you get to the point where you have to start pushing the IGT really hard. There's this kind of dynamic in IL battles where once one person puts up a strong time, there's a lot less finishes because both players are resetting more attempts, and Goobz hits the goal at what looked like a 53.7. Didn't quite get in though because he rattled the goalpost. 53.30 from Kpen. Kpen's catching up. We'll see if he's able to rattle off to 53.5 or better in the last 15 seconds here as he's getting the hang of this faster movement. That was a good setup right there! It was a good setup, and he didn't quite slow down enough to make the slope hit him in reverse towards the goal. And he's on his final attempt here, 5-minute mark. If he hits the follow-up volume, and that's it, didn't get the clip. Goobz takes game 1.
Select stage.
Wow. That was so close at the end there. That's one thing that happens a lot in these IL things, is you'll see the final few attempts end up being a absolute slaughterfest of the two people just going back and forth, getting super close attempts, or just banging out PB after PB, because they're finally used to the stage. They're dialed into this 5-minute strat that they've been going for. We have our next list, though. I will be posting it in chat. And now that Goobz has won game 1, Goobz gets to ban 1, and Kpen gets the counterpick. So we'll be seeing what Goobz decides to ban from this list of Trailblazing, Crease, 5 Golden Rings, Dominion, and Circumvent. Goobz bans Crease. I think Kpen had the record on that stage at some point. Maybe still does, so looks like a good ban. Kpen is going to be picking from the remaining 4. And there's a good chance that we see a little bit more early game oriented stages from Kpen and late game oriented stages from Goobz, if I had to guess. And accurately so, because Kpen just picks 1-4 Dominion. So that is where we'll be going to for our second battle here. One thing that you probably will be seeing is that a lot of the early game stages will have these easier full skips where the difficulty is optimizing the finish, versus later game, it's like the difficulty is getting a finish at all, and that's where RTA really helps you out. So both players are ready, so I'm going to count them off. And they should be off momentarily. So this stage is called Dominion. It's this kind of open world style stage, and interesting little thing about this stage is that there's a little bit of an Easter egg that you may notice them going for. I guess slight spoilers for this little secret goal on this stage, but this goal, because it's closer to the start of the level, is faster to go in than the blue goal. So both players are going to be going for a kind of skip finish here to be getting in that closer goal as fast as possible. Goobz is going for these little hits on the flower part of the garden in order to fail into the goal a little bit faster, whereas Kpenpen is going for what looks like this more kind of low down direct finish. I think what Goobz did is what's commonly used in RTA, whereas I think what Kpenpen just did, because it has a 52.98, a little bit faster, is that Kpenpen did the actual IL strat, which Goobz might be trying to replicate right now. At least I think that's what happened. I didn't quite actually catch Kpenpen's full finish there. It's a little hard to see both finishes at the same time. Goobz getting another finish, 93, a few frames off Kpenpen. And again, faster finish wins here, so even if it's by a frame, a single frame, that's all it takes in order to win one of these battles, is going in a frame faster than your opponent. And on these shorter stages like this, where it's a lot more about can you squeeze the extra frames out, that's where the IL experience comes in and is going to give you a big leg up on your opponent, is if you have a lot of experience with squeezing out those extra frames and knowing what makes a stage like this faster, then that is going to help a lot, versus on the bigger stages where you might see Goobz with a little bit more of an advantage of like, I know a strat that'll get a pretty fast finish here, and good luck getting the full finish, just because of his experience doing runs in this category. So far, it's only a matter of frames between the both of them right now. 52.98 on Kpenpen's side, 52.93 on Goobz' side. It seems like what they're going for as well is they want to go into the button with as high speed as possible, and there's kind of two ways to approach hitting the button here. You can slow down until you hit the button and like kind of hit it at a stop, which kills all your speed pretty early, or you can kind of almost full speed into the button, only start to slow down at the last second, and then just hope that the button hits you up into the air. And buttons, like edges in this game, are a little bit wonky with how their collision works. They feel a little bit inconsistent. And so getting that kind of upwards, speed-stopping hit that they both want in order to drop straight into the goal afterwards seems like it's going to be pretty difficult. That looked pretty good from Goobz, but didn't quite manage to get in after the hit. You know, hit the little edge there, and hitting that edge was enough to lose all that time. 52.96! 1 frame off! Oh my goodness. That early finish from Kpenpen is still holding, even after the 2 improvements from Goobz. This is going to be tight if he wants to beat this. Another finish. This is a very high finish count stage, as opposed to a lot of the stuff we saw from Beard and Dyrude earlier. A lot of these stages are much more like, you know, you get a finish and you just keep getting finishes, and a lot of it's just about squeezing out those extra frames. It's not just about who can get the one good finish. Good start there, but wasn't quite able to get straight into the hole. Oh, 53.01 from Goobz! And that's going to beat Kpenpen by 2 frames. Now putting the pressure on Kpenpen. Kpenpen now has to get a slightly faster time than that in order to be able to keep Goobz from going up 2-0 in this best of 5 set. We'll see if he's able to do that, while Goobz still has the rest of the time to improve his time. It seems like they're going for slightly different approaches for crossing the gap onto this middle pedestal, because that's the kind of difficult part of this, is that the middle pedestal is a little bit raised off the ground, so you need to find some way to get the height to get up there. And it seems like Goobz is going for hit the ground and then slow down, versus Kpenpen, who's going for hit the little slope from this bush and then slow down. I actually don't know which of the two is faster. I expect that what Goobz is doing is used in RTA, and Kpenpen is doing what the IL does, just because of their kind of backgrounds and experience. But that is just a guess. I don't actually quite know. interesting to see what ends up winning here. That looked like a good start from Kpen, but it wasn't enough. It was half-second slow. Grinding out frames under pressure like this is really difficult, too. It's definitely very tricky in order to just kind of expect all of your inputs to work and optimize the crap out of the level. 15 seconds left, though. Only a few attempts remaining. And that is last attempt for Goobz. Kpen, I think, started just like a moment late, or maybe the time elapsed just delayed a moment just because lag frames in this thing kind of delay the timer back a little bit. 52.90 at the last attempt. Not gonna do it. So Goobz takes game 2. Which means that Kpen will have counter pick for game 3 here. And if Goobz wins this, then he goes on to face Dyrude in the final little mini finals that we have here for this mini competition. So I will get our next stage list rolled here. And we have our next list. I'm going to post it in chat in a moment. So here is our next list. We have Contractor, Battle Canyon, Heist, Shake Weights, and Spires. A lot of these stages have really difficult strats, from what I'm aware. I think Battle Canyon might be the easiest one of these. I know that Shake Weights is a hard skip. Contractor is a really difficult skip. Might come down to RTA there. Spires is really difficult. Heist is really difficult. It's also kind of cycle locked unless you do something crazy. So we'll see what Goobz bans. Goobz bans Heist. And Kpen plays 610, Battle Canyon.
Select stage. Select stage.
So both players are going to be getting into that stage. We're going to be seeing the red world again, this kind of blood red area. Both players are ready, so I'm going to count them off. For this potential final game of our set between Goobz and Kpen. And they are off here. Counted them off. Goobz is a little bit slow to start, at least on my end here. I don't know if that's desynced on the stream as well. But this stage involves these little cannons here that have these bounce pads in them, and because of the slant of the cannon, you get kind of whacked forward by it. And the cannons themselves, you can't tell by what they're doing, but the cannons are actually seesaws that rotate horizontally. Something that the base game only ever does on Dodge Maze, I think, in Deluxe, which is a stage that not a lot of people have played because Deluxe is not, one of the main 2 played games in the series. But these cannons are sideways seesaws, and because of that, you're able to kind of aim them from side to side at these other islands. And so the idea here for the stage itself is that you're supposed to kind of aim the cannon at these islands and then shoot to the islands. But as you can see here, aiming the cannons takes time, and we don't have time for that. So both players are going to be just shooting into the cannon and then kind of air controlling their way around this giant pillar in the middle and going for the kind of lowest hit finish they can into the goal. And the name of the game here is minimizing height, because the limiting factor here for how fast the attempt is not actually how far forward you push, but it's how low you end up being to go into the goal. Because, you can go as fast as you want, but you're going to shoot way over the goal. And so the faster attempt here will end up being whichever one gets the lower set of hits, which means that there's actually going to be a little bit of gravity optimization at play here, which is something that you very rarely see fully explained in these kind of marathon settings, just because the stages go by so fast. But we're going to get to have a pretty good look here at what they're kind of doing here in order to optimize these attempts. So because you want to minimize the height that you get out of these throws from the cannon, what helps to do here is to diagonally input on your joystick while you're falling, so that you kind of have lower gravity going towards the ground, because again, they're tilting gravity, and because they're tilting a vector, that means that it's going to have less of a downwards component if it's tilted far to the side. So they're probably going to be doing some like diagonal inputs on the way down in order to kind of fall slower so that they get a less high bounce. And they're going to be doing as little input as possible on the way up in order to do the exact opposite, to get higher gravity so it pulls them towards the ground faster. Which is the thing that's really, really weird to wrap your head around. It's a very interesting aspect of optimization on the few stages in this game that have stuff like this, where you have a bounce, and the limiting factor that makes it into the goal is how low can you get that bounce to go. And Kpen here is currently ahead with an 81.80. So sorry I haven't really been kind of updating on exactly what the times have been from each people, but you've been able to see them on the screen on the little best time elapsed here on the side. But I just wanted to kind of explain what the players are doing here, because it's a very interesting part of this game that doesn't get talked about a lot, is the kind of dynamics of minimizing the height of your bounces by doing inputs in the air on the way down and then neutraling on the way up. And I mean, even then, they do still want to be inputting forward a lot towards the goal, because if you don't end up at the goal at the end of that time, at the end of those bounces, then there's no point in minimizing the bounces. You still need to get to the goal. So there is this kind of dance back and forth that needs to be done of like, make sure that you're doing enough input to minimize the bounce, but also make sure you're making it to the goal. Two different things that you kind of have to be paying attention to at the same time. And that's why having experience ILing these types of stages can help you a lot, is because you're kind of already used to what inputs exactly work for that dance. And so the players will know exactly, if they have more experience with ILing the stage, exactly what do I need to do here that gets the finish. Kpen tying his best with an 80 again. Showing that got this down on lock. Goobz still has yet to break free of the 0.6 zone. As we're entering our last minute here. Well, not just entering, I guess we've been in for 10 seconds. But yeah, like there's a lot more going on here than it may look, is kind of the gist of this level, I guess. Yeah, it may just look like they're taking one bounce and going to the goal, but there's a lot more intricacy happening with their inputs in the air, inputs on the way down, and how much optimizes to squeeze those frames out. It's kind of some insight to what's happening. 81, not quite gonna beat the 80 again for Goobz. We'll see if, in these last 20 or so seconds, if Goobz is able to secure a fast enough finish to knock Kpen out of this mini 4-person bracket, or if Kpen's gonna be able to stay in and play another game. But noteworthy thing is, after this, Kpen got to have the counterpick advantage on this stage, but if he wins and it turns to Goobz' counterpick, which it will because Goobz just got that final attempt, that means that Kpen now has to win on multiple of Goobz' counterpicks in order to take this home, which is very difficult to do. It's very hard to win on a stage that your opponent has much more sway over. So we're going to be seeing that aspect come into play here as we enter our next match. I'll roll us up a list. Again, shoutouts to Retrop for this very awesome bot that does this all automatically. So good. And we have our next list here with Delivery, Udon, Altitude, Influence, and Comets. So now we're gonna see a Goobz counterpick. So Kpen is going to ban 1, and then Goobz is going to get to select from the remaining 4. So Kpen kind of thinking about the ban here. Going to ban 9-8 Comets, probably a good play. I know Goobz has extensive RTA practice with a lot of the later worlds in this game. I wouldn't be surprised to see an Influence pick, because I know Goobz has experience with the RTA strat there, and that was the one I was thinking of earlier. There we go, Influence is the pick from Goobz. So we're going to be seeing the Ice World. I don't know if we've actually seen it yet.
You can fucking get it.
Dyrude may have been playing on one of those stages in between matches
You fucking got
earlier.
this early today.
We're going to be seeing a crucial next game here. Goobz could take the match point, or Kpen could bring us up to an even 2-2. Both players are ready. I'm going to count them off. and they should be off any moment. I think my stream might be a little bit delayed on Goobz' end, so if my commentary is coming in a little bit late for one end, then that is why. But Kpen's going to be going for the full kind of go forward strat here, and I think Goobz is as well. So, and I know in RTA runs of this category, when you're going for a full game run, you actually want to back up on this platform to get a little bit more speed towards the goal, and Goobz already gets a finish. Holy crap. But on RTA runs this category, which I was kind of expecting Goobz to do the RTA strat to start out, but you back up on the platform to get more speed in order to make this jump more consistent, and you purposely do it on a later cycle. But Goobz showing that he knows how to get the full IL skip, which is much tighter to do. Again, this is just like, there's so much more going on than it may look with a lot of these stages with like, you know, how low is my bounce here? You know, if you're hitting a sideways slant, these kind of like forward, upward, sideways slants like Kpen just hit there, then you need to worry about your sideways angle going into it, your forward speed going into it, all this stuff that influences how high the bounce you get off of that is. And the actual, like, the specific set of hits that gets you into the goal is not at all intuitive on a lot of these stages. Like, this skip is really hard, so hard that people don't do it without backing up an RTA. So, it is much more than meets the eye. But seems like we have the strat on lock here because both players have been getting quite a few close attempts on it. And Goobz already has his one finish with an 83-15, which instantly puts the pressure on Kpen because now Kpen, if he doesn't get a finish, he's out. It's over. You'll be getting another close attempt at the goal. You'll be seeing a lot of attempts like that where they kind of fall short of the goal, and honestly, as the commentator, I have no clue why. I don't exactly know what makes the stage tick, but there's something in the pudding here that makes it so that sometimes you do get the distance and sometimes you don't, and it's definitely something within your control. So it is very, very difficult and feel-based. It takes a lot of the IL juice in order to properly get one of the strats like these on lock. A good-looking attempt from Goobz, almost reaches the platform. This is another case where I could definitely see the party ball owning one of them on a good attempt. You know, you're kind of bouncing up into the goal at the last second here and only barely making it in off the bounce. And so it's very possible that they kind of bounce up into the party ball and then die there. Let's see what happens. We're halfway through. Only the one finish from Goobz. Definitely put up the finish really early on, kind of showing a lot of early confidence, but that's something that can happen on these stages a lot of the times, is you'll hear ILers sometimes talk about the first attempt magic, or however else you want to put it, of the first few attempts when you open up a stage somehow are magically better than the later ones sometimes, for no reason. And that's definitely a thing that a lot of ILers have experienced in this game, is just opening up a stage, getting a super crazy finish in their first minute, and Goobz getting another finish, 83-16. Nicely done, showing that he is locked into the strat, ready to get more finishes. Kpen, about to get a finish of his own. Doesn't look like it would have been faster, but... And that looks like it would have landed, but he knew it was going to be slower, so he just quit out immediately. Kpen's getting so many close attempts. There's gotta be a finish by the end of these 5 minutes. I believe. Another good attempt from Goobz there. It seemed like, if I could give my limited knowledge commentary on why that worked, it seems like that worked because he had like a good amount of height coming in and he was able to kind of crank left into that slope and get a lot more leftward speed to height conversion from the slope. And because you're kind of converting your leftward speed into height, you're not converting your forward speed into height as much, which means that you're able to keep your forward speed while still getting the height you need to make it to the end. Again, that's very limited knowledge commentary, though. Another goal hit from Goobz. Super dialed into the strat. Kpen's still looking for his first finish, but one thing that we say a lot in these IL tournaments is all it takes is one. You know, all it takes is for Kpen to go through the goal once with a faster time than Goobz, and all of these other finishes that Goobz got will be beaten out by the one. So we'll see what happens here in these last 30 seconds or so. Both players just getting unbelievably close attempts back to back. Oh, that looked good from Goobz. 13, not gonna beat his best. Someone just updated in the chat. 83:18 is record, by the way. Goobz is 1 frame off record. Yeah, holy. That means it's very fast. And that's our last attempt from Goobz. Kpenpen's last attempt showing up here. And that's not going to do it. Not going to give height. Even though he made the distance with a little bit of a Zorp there, he didn't quite... He accidentally paused over it, and pausing is not allowed in these competitions. You have to retry your attempt if you end up pausing. So that's going to be our 3-round set, or our best of 5 set. Goobz takes that game and is going to move on to face Dyrude in our final match here. Now, as we go to another kind of transition between rounds, I'll invite both Goobz and Kpenpen to unmute if they please, to have like a short in-between setup interview. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? What's going on? That was a super close match. Both of you guys had so many shots at the goal. It's so close.
Yeah, that stage is awesome. That's really tough to get like a finish without I've played that a lot. It's really difficult to like learn on the fly.
I haven't played that stage much before. I was hoping just to get through the golden entry, you know?
You know, GG on had some crazy times and crazy battles.
No. Was that the RTA strat that you were going for on Dominion, Goobz?
It was.
Because I noticed you guys were going for like different hits at the goal, and I don't actually know which one is like the actual IL faster strat.
I think it was, but it was like slightly different.
It's like a kind of RTA hybrid.
Yeah.
And then I would assume from experience that Kpenpen, you were going for the actual hits the IL gets, the kind of little slope off the garden bush there.
The IL uses the first rotated ground platform, but I was much more consistent with getting a hit off of those lower slope there.
Okay. I see. Good rounds though, all around.
.80 on Battle Canyon is insane.
Yeah.
I was just spamming for the quick shot out of the cannon after I got an 80, because it's really the only way I'm able to get it.
Oh, so there's actually like a difference with how the cannon hit works there?
Yeah, sometimes the cannon will just pull you and you won't have to fall in and get hit by it up. And I have no idea why it happens.
That is strange. I didn't actually know that. I thought it was just a matter of like whoever has the better gravity management ends up winning, but I did not know the sauce.
If you look at Beard's IL, you can see he gets a really low launch because he gets sucked pretty quickly in. And I think he's the only one with an 82 on that stage, and that's why. I'm fairly sure. I'm trying to remember what the other stages you played were. Let's scroll up in the channel here. Oh yeah, death blocks, I forgot.
Is it possible to go into the back goal on death blocks?
I have no clue.
Because I was trying for it for a little bit, but...
Definitely is really, really difficult to like squeeze through there to get like even just the fast movement that you guys are doing of like the intended strat.
Yeah, definitely. Stage.
I've just been notified that we are a little bit ahead of schedule overall at the marathon because of kind of how many matches have been played in these first few things. So we're going to make this final round a best of 7 instead of a best of 5, so we can see a few more stages from launch shown off in a little bit more heated competition. And I've also been informed that the stream is ready, so guess we'll be wrapping up that little interview. Thank you guys both, and GG to both Kpen and Beard so far who have played, and of course afterwards we'll get a GG for Goobz and Dyrude. But first, the finals! I'm going to go grab us a list. And again, we're going to be starting a new round on the stage picking sequence, so that means that stages that showed up on previous lists could show up again here, but they will not be repeated within the match itself. And here we are with our first list. I'll be posting in the chat momentarily. So we're going to have Dyrude ban 1 first. Again, this is going to be the kind of more back and forth even banning system from the very beginning of the match.
Ready? Go!
So we'll see what they ban here from Propulsion, Swerve Highway, Squeeze, Toboggan, and Super Monkey Maker. And actually a little bit of TO hindsight here from the organizing thing. I probably should have banned Squeeze because Squeeze ties a lot, but if that happens, it's fine. We got plenty of time, so I guess we'll see what happens. Dyrude is banning Toboggan. Goobz bans Propulsion and Squeeze, so we're not going to be seeing Squeeze. So we are left with Swerve Highway and Super Monkey Maker. Interested to see what Dyrude picks. Dyrude is going to pick us to Swerve Highway. So that is where our first match is going to be held. Again, back to the Red World. Seeing a lot of stages from there. I don't think we've seen any World 9 yet. But this is going to be some hype. So this is actually a remade stage from a much older community pack. I don't quite remember, maybe Dyrude can update us in chat later with who the original maker of the stage was, but this is a remaster of a old custom stage that was made in the ye olden days. Dyrude says it was Armac, so Armac is the original maker of the old classic Swerve Highway, and this is a remaster. Kind of made to be a little bit more smooth with much more of the kind of common tools that we have nowadays for modding stuff, which shout outs to the people who work on tools for this game, because the tools for modding this game have come such a long way and become such a more convenient thing to use. So both players are ready. I'm going to be counting them off. And this stage is another example of straight shot syndrome, where you have this really long, straightforward path with the goal at the end of it, and it's just going to be a lot of this kind of swinging through straight forwards on the straightest line possible to the goal with the geometry that we have to work with. And almost Goobz starting us off with a finish. That might be the RTA strat, I don't quite know. I would assume that Goobz is going to be going for most RTA strats to start out just because of his experience, but also he might have some IL strats just in mind or cooked up. Maybe he saw, looked at the IL sheet, what the IL does, because that is a thing that you can do during the match, remember, is you can always take a look at what the actual IL record does, and it's not always the most beneficial thing in the world, because sometimes the IL strat is something super ridiculous that you could never hope to pull off in 5 minutes, and you need an intermediate strat. And sometimes the RTA strat might be too slow for that, and you just have to come up with something on the fly. It's a little bit of an example of on-the-fly routing here. Goobz gets a finish of 48-11. I don't think Dyrude has a finish yet. If he did, then he should post it in chat because I didn't see it. But he might be getting a faster one here. 48-31 from Dyrude. So Dyrude is currently in the lead. He doesn't have the little mod set up here to show his best time in the corner, but we'll just have to remember he has a 48-31 for Goobz now to compete against or himself to beat. This is one of the stages that's a lot more kind of, I guess, not necessarily more fun, but more, I think, direct to get into. You see the stage, it's just, there's a goal on the other side, get there. Figure out some pattern of hits that gets there without losing much speed throughout the way, And with the goal at this like slight downwards angle at the end, a lot of the name of the game is making sure that you keep your speed the whole time, but make sure you get the lowest hits near the end as possible. Because if you end up getting these higher hits, you'll see Dyrude has to slow down there and then only get a 48.05 instead of getting something faster. So that's kind of the idea right now. And also another interesting difference that pretty apparent, but I guess I haven't said anything about yet. They're going on different sides. And this stage is symmetrical, but sometimes going on different sides on symmetrical stages can just be faster because this game is made out of triangles. Like all the collision in this game is calculated via triangles that make up squares and other shapes. And because of that, the triangles aren't symmetrical when the stage is, and so sometimes the collision can be faster on one side, even if the stage is symmetrical. I don't think that applies here. I think both sides are just about even. But a lot of times on the vanilla game stages that have starting walls, you'll see people mention like, oh, you have to boost left here because it's faster for some reason. Boosting being the kind of swing that you'll see them do at the beginning of the level, doing these diagonal inputs in order to capitalize on the stronger diagonals. Because it is slightly faster, even though it's a less direct line, it's slightly faster to capitalize on those diagonals while you're accelerating. Still only a 21 from Goobz, though, in the first 3 minutes here. Got another 2 minutes to improve his time. It seems like they're going to be going for these like forward hits on those downhill cylinders, which is going to be pretty tight to get because those cylinders are pretty small and they seem to be also kind of low poly. So it seems like there's a specific face that you might want to aim for where there's exactly one rectangle that'll give you the right hit and all the other ones won't. They'll kind of just bang you off to the side at a non-workable angle. Again, really high for Dyrude, not quite going to get in there at a fast enough time to beat his previous best. Both players just flying across here. I think they're going for this little landing scoop on the railing that is meant to kind of keep you on track for the main course. They're kind of abusing that ramp to kill a little bit of their height and not get as much speed to height conversion out of this bounce here. Because if you just directly bounce it, you get a lot of your speed converted to height, which would be nice if it weren't for the fact that the goal is that low and you know, you need to make sure that you're lower down for the goal. And so that's why you kind of see them going for this little scoop into the side here in order to get a faster hit. Goobz almost getting a nice little scoop off of that pipe. That was a very weird looking attempt. Dyrude almost getting one of his own. Kind of mirroring what Goobz is doing there. Oh my god, he almost jumped into the tube directly. That would be very wacky. Getting a finish that went through the pipe like that, because those pipes like intersect and then they kind of like jump up at the end and they fling you upwards. I'd be very surprised if an attempt that went through was faster, but it would also be very cool, so I can't say I don't want to see it. Seems like they're both going to be going for landing on top though, because definitely the more consistent thing to go for, and the 5 minutes is up for Goobz, and that's also the final attempt for Dyrude. Dyrude takes the game on Swerve Highway.
Select stage.
So, Dyrude gets game 1. We're going to have a Goobz counter pick for our next round as I roll our next list. I'll be posting it in chat momentarily. And again, this is a best of 7. It may not show on the layout. I'm not actually sure what's up there at the moment, but we're going to be playing first to 4 wins instead of the this so far standard first to 3 wins. So more chances for more hype stuff to happen, more momentum reversals in terms of who's winning matches. Exciting to see. We have our next list though. It'll be getting posted in chat here. We have Teetering Towers, Blast Off, Performance, Circumvent, and Smartphone. Dyrude says, haha, ban Blast Off. I have no clue how to do that. So that's a very, very intelligent ban there. Blast Off is a ginormous and very difficult to pull off stage that has multiple parts to it because you have to click these buttons in order to bring up the goal gate. And so Goobz is going to go performance. I'm not going to spoil what happens here, but this stage has a very cool strat on it that we're going to be seeing them go for. Actually, I think Goobz is going to practice it here. Oh, no, he's maybe not. Goobz is readied up. This stage is a very fun strat. I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens, but I know they're both going to be going for it because it is done in the RTA, so it is viable. And it's also done by the IL. I'm not going to spoil what's going to happen, though. I'm just going to let you watch because it's very, very epic. I'm very happy that this stage showed up. Both players are ready. They've been counted off, so they will be retrying momentarily for their beginning to the match. And so this level, it's called performance because the idea is that you kind of have to perform well under pressure because the timer, in order to beat the stage, is pretty tight. And you have a lot of these kind of time-wasty obstacles, like where you have to wait for bumper cycles, and the whole idea is that you kind of want to get ahead of cycle here. But because of the bumpers, you can see Dyrude on Dyrude's side there, going for a little bit of a funny. So there's no like direct throw yourself at the stage strat to skip this whole thing, but if you line yourself up with a specific position, you could just get squeezed by the bumpers and launched into the air in the most goofy looking fashion. It is so ridiculous that this even exists. It's a very specific collision lineup. It's such a silly strat. It's done in the RTA as well as the IL, but it is a very difficult strat that you kind of need to have warmed up and practiced before the run. Most people will use save states in order to practice it before the run actually starts, just to make sure that they're like warmed up on getting the hit. It's a very precise lineup, but even after you get the squeeze, it's not over. You have to then jump over the rest of the stage in this kind of massive connected skip that then sails over the rest and goes to the goal. This is definitely one of the most flashy skips in the entire game, and I love that this got chosen. But yeah, these bumpers are very finicky as well. So it's a very precise positioning, not only to make sure that you're between the two bumpers to get the squeeze at all, but also it's like if you're in slightly different spots, then the squeeze will behave very differently. Sometimes you get sent way up to the right, sometimes you get sent really low to the left and bonk the wall. It's so just all over the place, and it's a lot of just reacting to what hit did you just get, or just kind of maybe even knowing ahead of time, like, oh, here's where the bumpers are at, this is the kind of hit I'm gonna get. React, go! And Goobz is going to get over for our first finish, 45-85. Nicely done. That's going to put the pressure on Dyrude to get a finish now. Now you know you need to get a finish to the strat. Not that there was ever any doubt, because, it's done in RTA, so I'd say that reasonable confidence that you can expect your opponent to land this in 5 minutes if there's someone who's run the category before, and as was shown, Goobz knows what's up. And he almost got a super low hit into the goal there without like any slowing down. Holy, that would have been so fast. Because these little slants that you're hitting off of are actually rotating, and so the earlier you get to the cycle, the lower down the slant that you're hitting will be, because it's kind of rotating up as you go towards it to hit it. And so these players are trying to get these lower hits without actually slamming the wall in order to hit that thing as early as possible, and oh my god, Goobz! That was so fast! He almost got into the goal but got trolled. If he lands one of these finishes with the faster, lower hit without slowing down, it's going to be crazy. 2 minutes left to play, though. Will he be able to pull this off in 5 minutes? The lower, full speed finish. And will Dyrude be able to secure a finish of his own? It's part of why he kind of initially went haha at the list, because there's a lot of very learny stages, and he knew that since it was Goobz' counter pick, if there's 2 stages your opponent is happy with on the list, you know that if you ban one, your opponent's picking the other. So that's the kind of the terror of getting counterpicked against, is that you could just end up with a completely knowledge diff stage where your opponent knows what to do, exactly how to line things up, and you might not have as much experience. I know Dyrude has gotten this hit before because he did test to make sure that it was like a thing that was possible, because this stage was originally released for a level jam where there was level jams are like this weekly creation thing where you kind of make stages to a theme and they all get released in a pack afterwards, and the theme here was tight timer. And this was released for a level jam pack, and the strat was discovered for the level jam pack initially when the stage was different, and when he went to adapt this stage to his pack, he wanted to make sure that this funny bumper squeeze could still be used to be doable. So I know for a fact that Dyrude has gotten this bumper speeds before and practiced it enough to make sure that a skip is possible. So he has something that he knows he's going for. The question is just, is he familiar enough with doing it in recent times to, you know, re-warm up to the strat and get it again in 5 minutes? He doesn't have much time left to do so. He has about 30 seconds left. Still think he hasn't gotten a finish yet. Goobz has the 45.85 in his pocket, and also pending a 46 if he gets the crazy fast finish he's been looking for. About 10 seconds left, though. Probably last attempts from both players after the retry here, unless they make it a little bit longer. Goobz getting a really fast forward attempt. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Last second finish. Getting a true buzzer beater after the buzzer, getting a 46, like a mid 46. I didn't even see what the time was on that because he quit out so quickly. Holy cow. Ripping the goalpost too. That was crazy. And Goobz takes game 2, tying us up even 1-1. That is so crazy that he got that. Oh my god, I need a moment to recover. Let me roll up our next list here. Okay. So, after that absolutely exhausting game, Dyrude says, congrats on the new 3rd place. Apparently that's the 3rd best time on that stage that's ever been gotten. Holy. Or at least the 3rd place time. Maybe there's a better time gotten by someone who currently has better time than that. We have our next list. So we have Tablecloth, Sustain, which we saw last match, Rotary Orbit, Diamondback, and Crease. So, Goobz, since he won that match, gets to ban 1. And Dyrude is going to pick Diamondback. We're headed to World 4. I don't know if we've seen World 4 yet either. I don't have the best memory, to be honest, so I don't exactly know if you've already seen this world backdrop of this desert here. But we're going to be getting into Diamondback here. This is a very, very fun stage, in my opinion. Very, very fun stage to IL on. And try to go fast. It's another one of those kind of straight shot stages where the goal is just really far ahead of you and it's just build up as much speed as possible by getting as little friction as possible across the whole thing. So, waiting up on the ready up from Dyrude. Maybe consulting the record sheet, looking at what exactly a fast run does to get a fast time. Oh, no, he just forgot to type in ready. Some people will do that before their match. They'll take a little bit of time to look at the record sheet, but Dyrude seems like he has something he knows what he wants to do here, so... They will be off momentarily, as I have just counted them off. And the name of the game here is minimizing friction. So this stage is this very long straight shot to the end. And your goal is to just kind of make sure you're not riding along the ground, getting as little sparks as possible. I didn't quite see what that finish was from Dyrude, so hopefully he'll be able to update us in chat after the match with whatever that exact IGT was, because it's not displaying like it is for Goobz. Maybe he'll beat it here in a moment. I'm seeing a little bit of lag on Goobz, and I don't know if that's on the actual stream itself, but maybe that could just be on my end. But either way, both players are off here. Dyrude getting an initial 49. I'm not sure if 50 is possible. I think 50 might be possible. Oh my god, Goobz, what is going on? Goobz! Goobz, chill! Or maybe don't chill. Maybe keep doing that. Keep cooking. 49.56 from Goobz. I don't know if Dyrude's time beats that at the moment. Maybe he'll update us in the chat with what he got. Maybe he'll just keep focusing on attempts though. I don't know. Either way, we'll know after the match. He'll probably just tell us. 49.60. New best time from Goobz. This is one of those stages that probably has a pretty high finish count, at least in the battle setting here. 49.46 from Dyrude. Not as good as Goobz's finish. This is one of those higher finish count stages where instead of who can get the one finish, it's who can get the one fast finish. And it's all about, figuring out how to actually squeeze the frames out of the ending. And you'll see a lot of back and forth, getting very similar times left and right until the very last moment. Almost a smooth finish from Dyrude there, not quite gonna reach. Getting a 49.70 on Goobz' end. That is strong. 49.68 from Dyrude. I think that was his best run. That looked really fast. 1 frame off Goobz. That is crazy close. And on a stage like this, it makes sense. You know, you're grinding the frames out. So you're much more likely to end up with a super close finish or even a tie, which could happen. We have special rules in place for that. Again, we'll get to that if we need to. And a 49.83! Oh my god, they're going crazy! They're going crazy! Dyrude gets a 76, Goobz gets an 83. They are absolutely popping off right now. Holy moly. Passing by the goal. Just Goobz getting an entire more than 0.1 faster than his best time, and Dyrude also doing the same for himself. 91! Oh my goodness! Goobz pulling ahead with a 91. Just minimizing friction a little bit more, getting the sauce. Oh my god, that looked like a 50 bonk. 50! I feel like I'm just squealing here. This is insane. They're going. We are into the 50 zone. That means anything with a slower beginning, they just kind of have to reset. This is again the dynamic that I mentioned earlier of once you get further into the round and both players have already put up close times, like that are really good, you'll end up seeing a lot more early resets where, you know, the player didn't get the beginning that is quite fast enough to win. 49.71 from Dyrude. We're popping up times that are better than the first few finishes, left and right here. Both players just know what is up. They know how to speed. Goobz taking a quick pause there. I don't know if that was intentional or if he just had to shift his controller or something. Maybe he was looking at the record sheet in between attempts. I don't know. That is a thing that you can do. You can spend some time during the match to look at the record sheet, but of course that's spending valuable time. Oh my god, what is this attempt from Goobz? Holy... Oh my goodness. He got like a weird clip early on there. And that's the trade-off of getting a clip like this, is that if you get a clip, it looks like you get a whole bunch of height, but you are converting some of your speed into height. And the more speed you have early on, the more you can kind of carry it to the end of the stage, and the more that speed matters. And so, if they get a high, if the clip is too high, then it's not going to be quite as fast as it looks. Another 0.9 from Goobz. Oh my god. They are firing off fast finishes here. I love stages like this. Just firing at the goal. Crazy fast speeds, Goobz! With a 50.03, 2 frames better than Dyrude. Both players now have 50 finishes. But Goobz is just 2 frames better with an 03. Oh my god. With 10 seconds left to play. Will Goobz have another, or will Dyrude have a buzzer beater in him, or will it be the end here? Last attempt for both players, it looks like. Goobz is not going to be able to retry past this, so we'll see what they get. Goobz hits the wall. Last chance, and it doesn't make it. Goobz takes it with a 50.03. I thought that 50 was going to win for sure. And then Goobz just popped off a 50.03. Oh my god. Another absolute banger round. Goodness. I'm gonna get our next list going here. I'm excited to see more! I'm just as pumped as anyone watching might be. This is awesome. Alright, I got our list here. I'll be posting it in chat momentarily. So we have Interchange, Swing Set, Surveillance, Fissure, and Heist. And this is Goobz' ban. Because Goobz won the round, so Dyrude gets more influence over the stage pick here. He gets to pick from the remaining 4. Goobz bans Swing Set. There's a very, very difficult full skip on that stage that I'm aware of. Dyrude says colon C. He probably wanted to go there. Goobz knew! Goobz knew! This is the part of the game that's about knowing your opponent. If you know what your opponent wants, you can make good bans. There's a big element to that. And Dyrude picks Fissure. So we're going to be going to Fissure for our next game here. This stage is all about wormholes. And worth noting thing, just in case people are just tuning in, layout does say a little best of 3 circles thing, but we are actually doing a best of 4 match, so this is not match point for Goobz. If Goobz wins this, I'll still have to win one more. So we are making this last round a little bit longer because we're ahead of schedule. Goobz is readied up, waiting for the ready up from Dyrude, and he's ready. And they have been counted off. So this stage is a little bit of a wormhole puzzler, but both players are kind of going to be skipping the entire second half of the puzzle because, you know, why actually play the puzzle when you can go fast? So we're going to be seeing them going through these wormholes. One thing that's going to come up here on this stage, oh my god, is, yeah, they're going to be going for this little edge clip here, this landing edge clip. And, you know, we've seen edge clips earlier where they've kind of been rolling off the corner into a clip where the height is kind of set up for you. And it's more so the horizontal distance that you have to take into account. But here, they're going to be going for a landing edge clip, which is widely considered much harder to get, especially when you need to keep this much speed out of the edge clip, and you're not just looking for a reversal of speed. You know, you kind of need a very low upwards clip, very prone to just kind of zorping back to the top, teleporting on top of the platform, making it so that it doesn't actually give you the height you need to make it up to the goal. But what they're trying to do is just get the one little clip there, sail over the goal platform, and then land directly into the goal. This is a very low finish count strat. There's actually a pretty good chance that neither finishes it in 5 minutes. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an RTA strat get pulled out here in the last few seconds. Or maybe even in the last minute or so, because, you know, if you switch to your RTA strat earlier and your opponent doesn't get a finish, then you have more time in order to get a faster finish in the RTA strat. So that's the kind of trade-off. But then your opponent could just pull off the faster thing in that time and just completely own you. So it's a big trade-off, and it's a big kind of mental game. Goobz gets a good-looking hit there, but it's not going to be quite good enough. You know, you don't just need any landing edge clip, you need a good landing edge clip, and that's what makes this so hard. You need the perfect amount of kind of speed to knock yourself upwards to the goal. You can see them kind of intermittently on occasional attempts just going for a fast goal finish when they miss the clip, which honestly I think is a smart idea. You know, making sure that you're getting your potential for intermediate fast finish rather than the super fast strat, just in case no one finishes in 5 minutes, which we've seen quite a few times happen, especially in the games on Dyrude versus Beard. A lot of those stages are very low finish count, and Dyrude is able to come out with a lot of the safety strats in the last second. But this safety strat doesn't look all that safe, I'll be honest. Oh my god, Goobz. Goobz just had a really close looking attempt. Sailed like just under the platform. You need to get over that wall in order to get into the goal. You have to just barely crest over. And I mean, even if you bonk the goal by accident, as long as you get over that wall, I think it should be faster than anything that you could get with this backup strat that you see them going for if they miss the landing edge clip. And Goobz is going to, or no, Dyrude is going to, well, wrong person. Dyrude's going to be slowing down at the end there. Seems like he wants to start securing his intermediate good finish. Maybe realizing that the full speed dream of just bonking the goal and hoping that it sends you downwards into it is not going to be 5 minute viable. So going for a more slowdown oriented strat. Goobz is still, whenever he goes for the backup, is still going for this full speed thing, which looks really ridiculous, I'll be honest. I don't know exactly how viable it is to finish with that. Dyrude almost landing the slowdown strat there. Almost. And a little bit of an unintuitive thing that's going on here is the entrance portal here that he's entering for the backup strat is upside down. And because of that, it's flipping your vertical momentum to be upwards, but it's also flipping your horizontal momentum to be like the other way. And so you kind of have to turn right into it, left out of it. It's weird. Dyrude is finishing with a 52-10. That's going to be our intermediate finish for now. So if Goobz does not get a finish with either of the two strats he's been going for in these backups, that might hold. And we might be up an even 2-2. On the creator of the pack versus one of its best speedrunners, which is just a crazy matchup. Literally the person who made the stage versus someone who's, you know, better at speedrunning it than anyone else. I mean, maybe not anyone else. There's multiple people who have run this category, but Goobz is one of the best. This category is also really hard. That's one thing that I kind of mentioned earlier, that this is like the hardest story mode pack, and the run is even harder. There's so many super difficult strategies in this RTA, so big props to everyone who's able to actually run this category at all. Oh, getting a weird clip into the upper portal there. I don't know if that actually could work as a backup finish instead of going in the lower portal. Goobz is going for what looks like maybe the RTA strat. Maybe he knows that that could get better than a 52-10, and now he's going for it on the buzzer beater. Will this be faster than a 52-10? No! He gets the epic buzzer beater text, but it wasn't for an actual real game-winning attempt because it wasn't faster than Dyrude's 52-10 because he conked the goalpost! What an absolute troll. And that game goes to Dyrude. And now we are tied up 2-2 in this best of 7 series. This has just been a back and forth, absolute swing fest. I don't know. I don't know the word for it. It's awesome though. But we have our next list here. Seeing one repeat stage from last time. Wouldn't be surprised if that was the ban, but we will see what happens here. So let me post the list in chat. Boom and boom. So we have Crusher, Greenhorn, Solar Flare, Distort, and Dominion. Lots of early game shown in this list here. Dyrude bans Distort. Interesting ban. I was actually kind of expecting a Dominion ban because Goobz played Dominion last time, but maybe he has a strat in mind. Maybe he knows how to do the fast sauce on this stage. But Goobz is already warmed up on Dominion, so maybe that's the pick, or maybe, you know, the game of chicken that Dyrude's playing here, you know, like, play Dominion, I dare you. Maybe it works. Maybe he plays something else. It's an interesting list of stages. Goobz does go to Dominion, so we're going to be seeing Dominion again. The rematch. They're going to be going for a revenge finish on this red goal. Again, we're spoiling the red goals! No! It's supposed to be a secret! Oh, waiting on the ready up from both players here. Goobz is ready, and Dyrude is ready, and I will be counting them off here. And we will be off momentarily. So normally in like a kind of single IL session tournament thing, you normally only run one match, and so you don't end up getting repeat stages like this. But this is kind of an interesting scenario that we have here, where a stage that Goobz played in the match against Kpenpen is now showing up in the match against Dyrude. We'll see how Dyrude fares on this stage. We kind of already saw what Goobz was going for before. Maybe Dyrude has some different sauce to bring to the table, or maybe he will be just trying to replicate Goobz' finish because, you know, this is Goobz' pick. Maybe he just really didn't want to play Distort. 52-58 for Dyrude, already an 88 for Goobz, so it's not going to be ahead. It seems like I'm trying to analyze what Dyrude's going for right here. I keep having to look back and forth. Oh my god, 52-98. I think that might already beat his best from the previous round. He already just showing the warm-up is really strong in this game. Now that's part of the difficult thing about an IL battle scenario, is that a lot of times you're coming into a list of 5 stages that you didn't play that day specifically. And so you have to re-warm up to the stage in the 5 minutes. But the advantage for Goobz here is that he played the stage for 5 minutes against Kpenpen, got to warm up on it already. But Dyrude, while he has to warm up on the stage, Goobz already has the stage kind of practiced with a strat that he knows that he likes. And so he has a little bit of an advantage coming in, at least on the learning department. We'll see, though, if Dyrude's experience with playing these levels for the 2-year development cycle that this pack went through. Which, oh my god, the amount of dedication that goes into making these packs in general. Like, huge shoutouts to absolutely everyone who makes ROM hacks for this game, because a lot of these projects are made by just one person. And usually they'll get help from a few other people. Like, I know Dyrude had a lot of help from Eucalyptus and Zona, and I think Fanta, another community member, who all helped with like texture, visual stuff, models for the wormholes and the goals, you know, stuff that you wouldn't even think of initially. Like, oh yeah, there does need to be a model for the wormhole and for the goal and for literally everything. The stage previews in practice mode, those are something that, like, he also decided to ask someone for help with, just because it's so tedious to take 100 images of your stages that all look good. It's something that you don't even think about when making packs like this. Like, there's so much work that goes into these. Just wanted to take the moment to talk about that for, like, after mentioning the 2-year development cycle. So Dyrude's had a lot of time to play these stages in the time while he's making the pack, although he hasn't necessarily been focusing on going as fast as possible in them. So it's experience versus, I guess, flavor of experience, with Goobz having, oh my god, 5303. I stopped paying attention for a moment. That was crazy. 5303, that's going to be in the lead now. Oh, 5353! Oh my goodness, I didn't even know that what he was doing could go that fast. And I think Goobz is going to need to switch strats if he's going to beat that. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize that what Dyrude is doing was faster. That's the classic it takes one mentality right there, is if your opponent has been frame grinding their best time, getting finish after finish for the previous, 3 minutes of the match, you pop off one finish with a faster strat, your opponent is forced to switch, and now you have the lead. So Goobz is now going to be, it seems like he stopped for a second there, so definitely was screen peeking the attempt from Dyrude, or maybe the record sheet, checking to see exactly what makes this faster strat tick, because now his slower thing that he was just going for is not going to be able to win it. So this is this kind of on-the-fly learning that you kind of have to go through, and the familiarity that I mentioned earlier that Goobz had with the stage coming in, the 5 minutes against Kpenpen, now goes out the window. Because now he has to learn a completely new strat that he's not ready for. And now the experience seems to be much more of a ball that's in Dyrude's court. He had the experience on this particular strat, and because he got the finish, now he's in the lead. And Goobz has to learn something in, 1.5 minutes. Just proving very hard to do. It's very hard to learn a strat on the fly in this game, especially without save states. We have 30 seconds left here for Dyrude to potentially bring us up 3-2, bring us to a match point set round thing. I'm not saying the words correctly. But yeah, that's dominant looking finish from Dyrude. Holy. I did not realize that what he was going for was going to be that fast. I wasn't paying enough attention, clearly. Oh my god, he almost got another finish. That would have been like a mid-53. If that button hit had been a little bit more cooperative there. So I think the thing that Dyrude was doing there that's making this go faster is he's not getting this like double hit that Goobz was getting at the edge of the garden. And a 53-43 to finish off. Showing that he can get the strat twice. That's the end of the 5 minutes anyway. Dyrude takes that point. Goobz says, wow, what a time. What a time indeed. Holy. That was a crazy out-of-nowhere finish. It's all it takes is one. It only takes one finish to win an IL battle. I'll be generating our next list here, though, for our potential final round of this mini tournament. Potential final stage showcase. And this is quite a list. I'll be posting here in chat. We have nuclear, solar panels, eaves, hatches, and influence. Dyrude says, oh god, lol. A lot of these stages feel very, if you know the RTA strat, you're in good shape. Pilled. So, We'll see what Dyrude's ban is here. Since he won the match on Dominion. Bans Nuclear. Honestly, I think that's a good pick. I know for a fact that Nuclear is a stage where if you don't know the RTA strat, you're just going to get owned. Because I think the IL is extremely difficult to finish in 5 minutes. And Goobz is going to go Influence again. Oh boy. So I don't know if Dyrude has experience doing this strat. Rip repeats. Unfortunate. Maybe I should have done a scenario where we had no stage repeats, but I was worried about stages actually running out because there's only like 90 or 80 something stages here, and there's a chance of having like more than that many show up. Oh, wait a minute. Goobz says actually go Eves. Hold on, so we're not getting a repeat. Normally, once the person says go whatever stage, that's the stage. But in the interest of not getting a repeat here and seeing new stages, I think that we're allowing the go Eves. So we're going to be seeing a different stage here. So this stage is all about slopes. And, well, I mean, it would be all about slopes if they were actually playing the whole thing. But as you're going to see shortly here, there is a pretty massive skip that both players are going to be going for. Dyrude may or may not be consulting a run or a record sheet, I'm not sure. Nope, he's just right away ready, so maybe he has a strat prepared. So both players will be off momentarily, I've just counted them off. So this stage, the layout of this obstacle course here, takes a giant right turn, and then it goes forward, then takes a giant left turn, and it goes forward again. And because of that, there's this big gap in the middle of the stage. But the big gap comes after a really large slope here. And so, you know, you can kind of imagine what's going to happen once one of these players gets over the gap. They're just going to kind of jump over the middle of the stage, cross the big gap, and then go to the end. And keeping speed at the beginning here is a lot easier said than done, in my opinion. I've tried this skip before. I know what this feels like to do. Keeping your speed at the beginning without any slowdown at all is a lot trickier than it may look. So definitely some merit to having RTA experience on this stage, or, you know, 2 years of developing the pack experience, because I'm sure Dyrude knew that this skip existed. You know, giant slope plus big gap equals win moment. So we'll see which of the two flavors of experience end up taking us home here for a potential match point, because Dyrude is up 3-2. That looks pretty good for Dyrude. 79, I think that was at .91. Someone can correct me in the chat if I misread that. But it looks like a 91. So that is our first finish. I'm pretty sure an 80 is possible here, so I have a feeling that that will not hold for the end of the match, but we'll see what happens. It's a pretty good starting finish. You know, it's good to get a finish off right off the bat, just to know that, like, I'm not going to have to switch to a slower strat here, you know? Just keep going for the thing I'm going for, and I know that I can do it. I just got to do it faster. Lots of attempts you'll see hit this slope here. It's actually quite difficult because you need to get a good amount of horizontal speeds that you ring around this little slope here so you don't end up accidentally hitting it. Because the more time you spend on the dark blue slope that they're going up, the more they slow down. So you want to get off as early as possible, but you also want to have enough rightwards momentum to dodge that next slope like Dyrude just did and Goobz just did there. Almost going under, that would be crazy. I don't think under has ever been done before. Going under that right side slope. For good reason, that gap is quite large. Yeah, a lot of keeping speed at the beginning here has to do with just, like, making sure that the very specific edge hit, like, or not edge hits, face hits that you're getting off of these little slopes are actually, like, getting you airtime. And there we go, an 80-11 from Goobz. It's forcing me to stop talking about what I'm talking about. It's like, shut up, I'm getting an attempt here. Epic 80 finish from Goobz. Now Dyrude's gonna have to match that. The ball's in Dyrude's court. Not necessarily match point pressure on Dyrude right now, but still is some pressure, otherwise he'll have to play a very nerve-wracking Game 7 where, you know, whoever takes the point wins the whole thing, the whole mini-tourney. You'll see here, whoa, that was some weird hits from Dyrude. He accidentally hit the slope. I think they're both going for flat hits off of the surface in front of the one that Dyrude just hit there. And so that slant hit seems like he kind of got thrown off his intended path. Maybe there's some improv way of making that slant hit work, but it seems like it would be very hard to do. Goobz almost getting another finish there. Would have been a 79, so it wouldn't have been as fast as Dyrude's finish. Or no, as fast as Goobz' finish, sorry, wrong person. Oh my god. That attempt from Dyrude. He paused for a moment there just to like kind of look at the timer. Just like, that looked fast. Looked like you could have beaten Goobz' time with that if it had finished. A little bit of an awkward angle though. We have about a minute left to play. Will Goobz bring us up to 3-3 for a crucial Game 7? Or will Dyrude be able to clutch it out and knock Goobz out and win the whole thing? And Dyrude wins the whole thing if he just gets one faster finish. That's all it takes. Oh, that looked so good from Goobz. If he carried a little bit more speed, then that low hit would have been perfect for just holding up into the goal. Lost a little too much speed on the straightaway there, so he couldn't quite finish it out. That slope hit is just not going to be faster by Dyrude. Yeah, you get that slope hit, you're converting so much of your speed into height that you're just not going to be able to beat an 80.11. Unfortunately. Another crazy slope improv finish. Or almost finished, not quite finished. Getting to the goal, but not quite through it. Last attempt from Goobz there. I think Dyrude was retried after the 5 minutes. Doesn't matter though, that is it for Eves. And now we are on the final round, potentially, unless they tie. But ties are pretty unlikely in a pack with this high variety of times and scores and whatnot. So we are into our final round, Game 7 of the finals. We'll see what our list is here. One thing that is as well worth mentioning that both players have the opportunity to do, but I don't know if it's been brought up yet, is that you can offer to your opponent to re-roll a list as like a kind of friendly mulligan type thing. Neither player has asked to do it yet. I don't know if they actually knew that they were allowed to do it for this mini format here, but it is a normal tourney rule, so they are allowed to do that. Apologies on my part if they didn't know. But if you ever don't like a list, you can ask for a re-roll from your opponent. If they agree, then the list can be re-rolled and you can get a new set of 5 stages. Are you saying this list sucks? No, I'm not saying the list sucks. I'm just bringing that up because I realize that no one has done it yet. But anyways, we have our list of, let me post it to chat. I just realized I didn't post it to chat. Hurdles, Trailblazing, Infinity, Gale Force, and Altitude. Goobz is going to ban Infinity. Goobz, I forgot to even say because Goobz is banned here because Goobz won the last match. Dyrude is picking, so he has much more influence over the final game. That's the big thing that having quote-unquote counter-pick advantage gives you here, is you kind of seen this back and forth with, you get to have more influence over the pick, which means you're more likely to win. And so you get this back and forth of player 1 wins, player 2 wins, player 1 wins, player 2 wins. And then the reason having counter-pick advantage is good is because that means on the final round, you will have counter-pick advantage. And Dyrude being ahead by 1 point this whole time has had counter-pick advantage. And so that means that it is now his pick on these last 4 stages. And Dyrude's gonna play Altitude for our final game, continuing into the ice world once more. We've seen a lot of ice. Oh, one thing that I didn't even bring up. This pack also is one of the first packs in general to feature ice floors in Monkey Ball, which are a thing that were only discovered by the community quite recently. And I say discovered because this is quite funny. Ice is literally just an upwards conveyor with a really slight value. And so it pushes you off the floor like a bounce pad, which are also just upwards conveyors with stronger values. But it just keeps you off the floor very slightly like air hockey, like a ball kind of floating directly over the ground. And so it gives you less friction. And so that's kind of what some of the Ice World stages use. This stage does not use those, though. This stage just uses regular conveyors. I both players are ready, so I'm going to count them off. And they will be off momentarily. For our final round, Dyrude seems like he's already off. Goobz has not started yet, so maybe let Dyrude get a few extra attempts off there, because Dyrude does not have his own timer to display. But this stage has these two kind of tracks of conveyors that are each moving a different direction. And the whole idea is that you're supposed to kind of go up one side, gain a bunch of height, go down the other side so that you get the conveyor pushing you up to the next ramp, and then keep kind of building height and speed until you get to the goal. But because this is an IL contest and both players just want to get the single fastest finish possible, they're not going to be actually going up slope, slope, slope. They're just going to be getting a little bit of extra speed by going to the right at the start here, and then going for one big fling into the blue goal. Because the blue goal is the lowest of the three types of goals on this stage. So even though warp goals are fun and give you little bonus points and stuff, they're slower, so they're not good for this battle. Unlike on Sustain, where you saw a warp goal finish from Dyrude actually end up winning. But this is match point here, and I don't think Dyrude's gotten a finish yet, so 53.61 from Goobz seems to be the holding time. He'll update us afterwards, though, if he did get a finish that I happened to miss. So apologies if I missed anything. I don't think I have. 53.61 is solid. Like that's pretty fast. And yeah, you'll see that they're retrying attempts if they end up missing the conveyor turnaround here. You know, they want to fully turn around on the conveyor so that it kind of helps them turning around as much as possible. It's very, very weird movement. Very much not a thing you see in a lot of other stages, this kind of double conveyor turnaround here. Especially one that needs to be at such a high speed and happen so quickly in order to not lose any time, get into the goal as fast as possible. And another thing you'll see both players doing is kind of pulling a down diagonal input the moment that they reach the slope in order to kind of turn around fast, because down diagonal inputs are generally pretty good for just turning around quickly. And this is another stage where you kind of... I think my internet dropped there for a second, sorry. The commentary might have just gotten interrupted for a second. What I was saying though is there's, oh, is my internet being okay? Oh. I'm getting a little bit of internet issues on my end, I think. No, I want to see the final match. I can't even tell if Dyrude's getting finishes. Oh, I can kind of see them the delayed stream on the actual thing itself right now. But my my little views here for watching the match is a little bit messed up. Luckily, we still have the feed going, though. Technical difficulties aren't extending to the actual stream itself. Oh, I got my feed back up. Okay, I can see. Sorry, my internet got a little bit messed up there. But we are at the final minute! Already! Let me try to finish my thought from earlier as well, since I kind of got interrupted by internet issues. This level's a little bit of a game of chicken with slowing down, because you want to turn around as early as possible so that you're not wasting time. But you also, if you turn around too early, then you just don't get the height to get to the goal. As you see in a lot of attempts have that happen. And so it's this game of chicken of turn around earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier until the very moment when it becomes not possible to get to the goal anymore. And a lot of levels come down to that kind of game of chicken. This is one of them. It's a very interesting optimization challenge. I've seen a lot of attempts getting really close to getting up there super quickly from both players. I don't think Dyrude has been like actually gotten the finish yet though of the fastest thing here. Maybe a final attempt there. No, he's not gonna get it. I'm pretty sure that's it, because he's actually started his stream a little bit after Goobz, because Goobz is a little bit late starting, so Goobz is going to take that game, I think, unless Dyrude got a faster finish. Dyrude said no finish. So Goobz takes Game 7 and is the victor of our little 3-round, 4-player mini launch IL showcase. And I'll invite just Goobz and Dyrude for now to unmute if they want to real quickly say anything at the very end of that.
That was intense.
Whoa, yeah.
That was such a crazy set for having, like, never done an IL tournament of this pack before. Like...
Oh, dude. There's so many things
Diamondback.
I have no idea.
Diamondback was so crazy.
I've gotten a mid 50, like a 53.1x, like mid 0.1 on that one. I was really slow. I'm not really sure why, but then we went. We're going back and forth. That one was crazy. That was awesome. I love Diamondback. Like Diamondback was one of those stages when I was just making stages and I was bored, or like I'd finish playtesting a stage. I would just go IL Diamondback because of like, yeah, I just love jumping over the stage.
Mm-hmm.
So fun.
Like, you make the things you love to play.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was awesome to watch as well.
Oh, it was insane. I was daring Goobz to play the mini. I didn't think he would, and I was like, crap, I'm not gonna actually get this strat.
And then you did!
Luckily.
You popped off.
Oh, GG. Goobz is awesome. We call him Goobz Gang. I was saying Goobz Gang in the chat in the last match. He's awesome. Make sure you go follow him. Like, one of the
follow
best
all
speedrunners.
four of the runners
Dyrude,
here.
the creator of an incredible pack. This incredible
Incredible
One of
showcase from
the
everyone
best.
today.
Oh, man.
I'm incredibly grateful to have been able to even set this up with 4 people that put on such a good show. But in the interest of time, I think we're good to sign off here, unless there's any last second shoutouts any of the 4 runners want to give. You can unmute and give a real quick shout out to anything if you need to.
Shoutouts to Nambo. Go drink some water. You've been talking.
Yeah.
I've been taking sips. I have my little water here. Shoutouts to water.
Beard.
Shoutouts to all players. We played very well. It was very exciting to watch, and it was a ton of fun. And I hope to do it again someday.
Heck yeah. Monkey Ball's awesome.
Awesome.
Alrighty, you guys. Well, thank you so much for the tournament. It was a very exciting watch for all of us to see. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you for letting us host it.
Hell yeah. Look forward to maybe another one next year. Alright, guys. So up next is going to be the Fish Out of Water event. And we will go ahead and get that loaded up, and we will see you back shortly.